Today, I'll show you how I made this. A fully adjustable, reconfigurable arm extension for around $10 to $15 for your weight bag or your heavy bag. He keeps you honest. He'll block things. Totally adjustable. You block in before you strike. Interested? Here we go. Realize this might seem like a lot, but I'm giving you the ideal case. You can certainly use a nail instead of a center punch. Drills, various sizes. It depends on what kind of screws you use. The ones I'm using that I just happen to have are these sharp pan head framing screws, 7 times 7/16 or 1.1 centimeters. This is just a magnetic cup to keep everything in control. Little files are helpful, but you don't even have to go to that extent. You can use a sanding sponge. I got a 24 pack of sandpaper from the dollar store for $1. I'm using a mallet hammer combination just to kind of make sure that the PVC pipe is together. Phillips screwdriver for the screws. Big pair of scissors. And a drill. And then some sort of ruler. The supplies you'll need for this build are a pool noodle. You can get this at Five and Below or any dollar store for $1. The bones of the arms are made up of all 1/2-inch PVC pipe. So you need 2 T connectors, 2 90-degree elbow connectors, and 2 120-degree connectors. For wrapping around your punching bag, you'll need 2 of these 24-inch heavy-duty cable ties. I got this at Harbor Freight for a couple bucks. You can get them a lot of different places. And then this is the pipe I used. It's 3/4 inch outer diameter, 5/8 inch inner diameter. Now you can get the thicker stuff, but I think the thinner stuff works better, and it allows you to move this cable tie or zip fastener around on the inside rather easily with the wider dimension. Here are the 2 arms. This is one that I've completed, but what I did is I took these guys out there and I put them on the punching bag just to make sure we're going to work the way I want them to work. You can see I've screwed in the fixtures, not glued them in. This is going to be the pivot point, and the reason why I said in here is because I don't want anything rubbing up against the punching bag. And these guys are mirror images of each other. If you wanted to save some money, you could just go with a straight pipe. You wouldn't have to put this elbow in there, but the elbow gives you a little more ability to do down blocks, up blocks, and just kind of adds a lot to the arms on this capability. But building a mock-up before you put the screws in is helpful because that allows you to figure out, this is the upper arm, this is the forearm, and I even have some ideas on the end here I'll probably show in a later video. So I want to disassemble it here for you. Set the foam to the side. We'll talk about this later when we assemble. So I just want to focus on the PVC pipe and the joints. Both these pipes are 12 inches long. By the way, you can get PVC at a Home Depot or Lowe's. You can get a 10-foot section for around $2, plus a couple dollars worth of fittings, a $1 pool noodle. The most expensive thing in the build is the tubing, and this cost $1 a foot. Some places you can actually get the tubing by the foot, and that would really make this build cheaper. So under $10, you can make yourself 2 arms for your punching bag that will really take your sparring to the next level. This is a build for 1 arm. You just double this up, so you'll need a total of 4 of these 12-foot sections of 1/2-inch PVC pipe. This is schedule 40. This is just a 1.5-inch piece of PVC pipe. You'll need 2 of those, 1 for each arm, and that's just to connect from here to here. So the first thing you want to do is take your hammer and tamp down the 1.5-inch piece of PVC pipe into the T. and make sure that that's set. Okay, the great thing about this 90-degree elbow is it's got these lines here, and that's a great guide for when you make your groove. Some of the PVC pipe is tight with the joints and some of it's a little looser. Depending on how tight it is, you want it so that it flows smoothly, and you can lock it down. And that's why you need the sandpaper, is to kind of go through here and go through the inside here, smooth it out. And you really want these grooves to be straight. I'm coming in 1 centimeter fittings, and this is exactly what I've done for the Spinning Ninja. So if you've seen the Spinning Ninja, this is all the same technique. I'm coming in and I want to make probably from there to there. Coming down here, mark there, here's the center, mark there. It's important to try to get all these guys to line up, and they look pretty good. I've got this thing I've invented that's just basically a synthetic cork with a small 2-inch nail in there, and you can use it as a marker. It's kind of a cheap version of a center punch. You just take your center punch, mark it. You can go bold and go to the end state drill. You want something that's going to be slightly bigger than the grooves here, but I typically use a smaller drill just to try to make this, again, as straight as possible. And because I always want to be safe, I don't hold the piece like this so close to my hand, because there's always a chance you're going to drill into your hand, and that's not a good thing. So Mr. Wrench feels no pain, and then just drill the hole from there. 1, 2. I can't overemphasize the safety factor here. This is actually where on the previous build, where I jammed this very Phillips head screwdriver into my hand because I was working with one of these joints and was trying to get the screw in, and I just poof, and that set me back. So if I would have had this going on, it never would have happened. Now for the bigger drill. I'm actually using a drill that's got a 2-step bit on it, so that actually fits and rests in the hole nicely. Drilling cylinders is kind of a pain. You want to make sure you give it the best shot that you can. Now I've noticed that this guy's a little higher than these other two, and I can compensate for that when I get to the next step, which is using a hacksaw or a coping saw and just cutting across here to make the groove. Like any project, the more you do it, the more you learn. I'm just using some blue tape here, and I'm connecting these 2 holes together, and that will give me my straight line or guide for my coping saw to ensure I have a nice groove. Alright, so I'm going to cut that groove, and then I'll do one on the other side. Target is to get it just a little wider than this screw is, so that you have a nice smooth channel in which to run and pivot your joint. I've made the second cut over there, and just pull it out, and there's your channel. Now it's a little rough on the inside. I'm going to sand that down, and it runs through there smoothly. But you can see that the head of the screw goes down fine, and if you're worried about it too much, you can actually put a washer in there between the screw and the head. And I might do that just to show you what that looks like. And then you can see how far down it's going to get into the PVC pipe. Well, actually, here's the thickness, so you can see what it's going to be like. Now I'm just going to use this file and clean up the hole a little bit. You can find these files at Harbor Freight for a couple bucks, or almost any store for a couple bucks. They don't cost that much. If you're spending more than $5 on them, that's too much, and they'll last you forever. I've had these for like 10 years and used them on all sorts of projects. To get in there and smooth that out a little bit more, what I found is you can use a 3/4 inch dowel and tape a piece of sandpaper on there, and it fits in perfectly. To remember which end is which, I'm using this as a indicator of this is going to be the side that's going to have the pivot on it, and this is the side that's just going to have the fixed. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I did here to this one here. I think I'm going to actually go out a little further though, almost 180 degrees. I'm just going to take some sandpaper and just kind of shave that down just enough so that it's a nice smooth fit with the PVC. This guy's been smoothed down, this has been smoothed down, so it's a nice fit. Now it's a little sticky, but when you put the arm in there, it works a little better. And you want a little bit of stickiness to it to help keep the arm in place as you're hitting the bag. Now, to determine where to put the screw, and if you get the hole wrong the first time, not a big deal, just drill another hole. Since this one is fixed, I'm going to make this one the moving piece, and then this is the straight arm extension. Make sure it's tight and it's all in place before you start drilling the holes for the screws. As close in as that, and also when he comes up, you want him all the way back to here. So you want two extremes, or the desirements, as opposed to requirements. Yeah, and that's perfect. And so that's where I want the screw. And if it was the right side, you would just be doing it in the opposite direction. I happen to have a bunch of these 1/8, 5/8 inch washers. So I'm going to try that on this screw, on this arm, and see if it makes any difference. And I'll compare it to the other side. I kind of like that washer idea, and you can tighten it up as little or as much as you want. I mean, if you feel like you've got it right in the place you want to work out with, then you can just screw it down in place. But this allows it to float. So I might have to update all my other designs to that washer. So I have the screw on the outside. Now, you could glue this in place if you wanted, but I like the flexibility of redesign. So I might want to make this arm longer, or this piece come down a little bit more. Now I can work on this piece. The last part of the arm end, remember this is the elbow, and we'll see how that turns. Okay, that turns. Whoa! Gotta be careful of that, because again, this isn't put in yet. Okay, so I kind of like the way that's turning, so then I have to decide how far in am I going to put it. But it would be here, because you're doing the point on the inside, and then how far in and down. Initially put the screw right there. But before I put the screw in, I'm going to take this piece off and put in the pool noodle. Now I've got my screw and washer combination. That might be a little too tight. Let's see. Yeah, that's locked down. So I'm going to just take the screwdriver and back it off just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. All right, now this guy I'm not so concerned about. I'm going to tap this on, screw him in place, and then put the last bit of the arm on. Right there like that. And I've got a little bit on the end there to protect. You could actually use a end cap like I did on my Ninja guy. Arm 1, arm 2, and we're ready to go. This weight bag is 1 foot or 12 inches across. And I calculated that I need 41 inches of the clear 3/4 inch tubing. Now you're going to put it around here like this, and you're going to put this guy in the back. Now the reason why you put him in the back is because if you want to punch, this will be nice and soft to hit. You don't have to worry about damaging your fist or whatever. But the challenge is now you have to get this cable tie, and you can see that I've connected it at the very end. So that's the two 24-inch cable ties, and put them together, and you have to snake it through this tube. And the way you do that is I've just come up with this makeshift metal snake, and then I've got another cable tie. This happens to be a 6-inch cable tie right there, connected to this end of the cable tie. You can see I just push it through like this, and I've actually taped it off to make sure that the tail and the head of this cable tie stays in place till the snake comes out the other side. All right, I put these little pieces of pool noodle on there between the T and the elbow just to give it a little bit of raise up. You'll see when I put it together. Okay, so you got the two ends on there. This is his right arm, and we're gonna have that guy in the back, so we're gonna feed this guy on this side and this guy on this side. Now the great thing about this design is not only can you flip it up and back and forth on the pipe, but you can also move it back and forth and slide it back and forth on that way so that you can get different angles of attack. Another great thing about this design take some little tool like this and push on it like that, and you can take this guy right off, raise or lower it. So this is what I have here. I got the cable ties connected in the back, and I'm just kind of trying to put this exactly where I want it, in at least the initial position for these guys. So now I'm just going to use these pliers, and I'm just going to pull on it and cinch it up real good. And when I feel good about where it's placed, tighten up on it a little bit more, then I can just slide this piece in here like this. It's fully customizable. You can change all sorts of angles to set up any kind of counter situation that you can think of when you're working the back. And the great thing about a water bag like this is you can raise and lower it and have them at any height. Thumbs up and comments always appreciated. Thanks for watching. And if you're interested in these kind of things, check out my channel. I do martial arts builds, cosplay, just about anything you can think of. I'm trying to play with it.